Speed, but we have shut ourselves in a little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I am Jason Bermas. This is Reality Rants over at redvoicemedia.com, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored, redvoicemedia.com/Jason for the second hour, and we got a jam-packed show for you. I'm going to put through, a lot of you through some torture. Everybody knows I love a good watch-along, especially when it has to do with Joe Biden and him not being able to speak, because he doesn't really know where he is most of the time at all. And I got to give it to him. I kind of jumped around just to see about how much time Joe Biden stood up there. Down in New York City, where he's ignoring the crime, ignoring the tent cities, Amtrak Joe, okay, he spoke for a solid almost 20 minutes. Maybe a little bit less, but the way he loves to run out there, let everybody know how spry he is. And Chucky Schumer introduces him, and it's all about sustainability on this new program of getting you, he tells you, getting you out of cars. First of all, a car in New York City is a damn nightmare. However, if you're trying to get in and out, a car might not be the worst thing depending on where you're going, if you're going in and out. Now, a lot of people will tell you, if you're going there for an extended period of time, if you're new to New York City, and let's say you've got a sporting event or something planned, it might be a good idea to go down to Kingston or Poughkeepsie or Newburgh or any of these places. You can catch a train and then get down there. Maybe. But the subway system is insane. It's not fun. It's not awesome. And crime is through the roof. And if you don't think that you're not going to see wild shit in the subway system, you haven't been in New York City, or at least at the right time. Because, you could see it all right there, everything. But anyway, we got this Amtrak Joe, because I love watching him say, I ain't kidding with you, man. Yeah, over and over, barely knows where he is. And if you think I'm exaggerating that he barely knows where he is, the first story I want to start with, okay, we're going to hit these stories. We're going to circle back, as Jen Psaki used to say on behalf of the Biden administration, to the watch along, to Amtrak Joe, to the tent cities. People are paying $2,000, $3,000 a month for basically a glorified cubicle with a kitchen in New York City to live amongst insanity, in my opinion. So Joe Biden walks up to this reporter. We're going to play the clip, grabs her by the hand. She's asking about the mandates and the emergency and the restrictions. And Joe Biden tells her that we've extended it to May just to make sure everything is all locked up and good to go. And don't worry, the Supreme Court will end it. Now, before I play the clip, and don't worry, we'll play it a couple times, 3 times, 4 times, because it shows how absurd of a situation we are in, where we are being gaslit as a public, all right, that guy runs anything or knows what's going on at all. Now, let me say this. The Supreme Court now has had the opportunity to see an abundance of cases that have challenged executive orders, mandates on a federal level, okay, on numerous things. I'm going to keep it pretty broad. We're on YouTube right now. You got the idea. I haven't seen them look into any of these cases whatsoever. So I get it. Joe doesn't know what he's talking about. He said everything was over at a car show, and Karine Jean-Pierre on daytime TV says, listen, we don't hold the president accountable for what he says when there are a bunch of pretty cars around. That's not what we do. Dirt. Listen, and he signed off on this emergency as long as everybody tells him, and we just keep telling him, hey, it's up to the Supreme Court, Joe. So here it is. Again, it's such a sad situation. But Joe Biden being asked, a straightforward question and giving an absurd and ludicrous answer.
What's behind the decision to end the COVID emergency, Mr. President? What's behind your decision to end the COVID emergency?
COVID emergency will end when the Supreme Court ends it. We've extended to May the 15th to make sure we get everything done.
All right. So we're gonna boost it right up to almost double that. Okay. Now, first of all, I don't even know what this journalist is saying, other than implying that she's, from what I'm hearing, she's saying, what is behind your decision to end the COVID emergency? And Joe, to my knowledge, other than the fact that he was at that car show and obviously was looking at pretty cars and mistakenly said that, there's nothing on the books for that. But let's hear it again. Joe passing the buck to the Supreme Court on this one because he has no idea what's going on.
What's behind the decision to end the COVID emergency, Mr. President? What's behind your decision to end the COVID emergency?
The COVID emergency will end when the Supreme Court ends it.
So let's just start. He can't even, he says MOVID. I'll bring it back. Can't even pronounce the word correctly.
The COVID emergency will end when the Supreme Court ends it.
Yeah, the MOVID emergency. The MOVID emergency. MOVID. When the Supreme Court ends it.
We've extended to May the 15th to make sure we get everything done.
To make sure we get everything done. We've extended it to May 15th. Again, the guy grabs her hand. He's got his hand on her. He's under the... It's cartoon level. We're at cartoon level. No doubt about it. That's where we are. So, again, we're going to come back. We're going to do the Amtrak watch along. I've got other stories I want to hit. And I'm actually going to play a piece that I did, it's got to be 4.5 years ago now, over at We Are Change, regarding Hollywood director and fun boy, James Gunn. I shouldn't call him a fun boy because, I don't know that, I want to make this really clear. I don't know that James Gunn is guilty of anything other than making some really, really poor jokes and having associations with some really, really terrible people. Okay? But we've been talking about this Zachary Levi thing. And Zachary Levi simply tweeted something that seems pretty obvious, pretty basic out there. He said, I hardcore agree with the fact that a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has lobbyists and lost in court is a danger to society, and lost in court for doing some pretty bad things to a lot of people. You know. So Gunn said this, and you know what? Gunn, you know, he gives the political answer. And for those that don't know, Gunn is the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy films. There was a quick backlash via the kind of information that I'm going to play in this next video. Again, that I did 4.5 years ago now, back in the We Are Change days. And Gunn addressed the backlash during the DC presentation of the new projects when a reporter asked, Zach Levi a couple of days ago tweeted something about, I don't even want to say the word, got some people upset, don't know if you have a comment on that. Gunn responded, actors, filmmakers I work with are going to say things that I agree with and that I don't agree with. That's going to happen. I don't have a list of things that somebody should say because of what I think. I can't be changing my plans all the time because an actor says something that I don't agree with. By the same token, if someone is doing something morally reprehensible, that's a different story. We have to take that stuff into account. It's a balance. It's a modern world. It's a different place. Okay. And that's why we're revisiting the story. Because he's praising Ezra Miller, and they're saying that The Flash is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. To me, it's super hypocritical for him to come out and say that if you're doing something morally reprehensible, then it's another story. This guy is enthralled in all sorts of scandal that involve allegations of the abuse of children. Okay? Male and female. And by the way, 40 likes. Can we get 100 likes over on the YouTube? And can we get the comments, not just in the live stream, but in the comments section as well? Help the algorithm, help the show grow. Okay? And we're about to play this piece. So, you know, if you're going to throw that caveat in there, and first of all, not such a strong stance on Zach Levi. He should have basically said, look, the guy has his free speech. We might agree, we might not. That could have been the end of it. Much more diplomatic, you know, acting like this, but then says, well, if there's something morally reprehensible, well, you're sitting here praising this other film, okay? And that guy, he's got criminal charges up against him. Like I said, the allegations extend to what I would call morally reprehensible behavior. And that's why, in this next segment, what I want to do is I want to play a piece, again, 4.5 years ago, James Gunn, what nobody else will tell you about the James Gunn controversy. And, you know, again, I've been doing this for a while, guys, and I think this was a pretty good report. So let's check it out.
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here for wearechange.org, and boy do things move quickly in 2018. And of course I am referring to the firing of director James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy 3 after he directed 1 and 2, which were huge blockbusters, ones that I actually enjoyed thoroughly, by the way, over tweets, disturbing tweets from around a decade ago involving pedophilia and rape.
Renowned director James Gunn has been fired from the upcoming movie Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 after old tweets re-emerged in which Gunn makes inappropriate statements regarding pedophilia and child sexual abuse.
Now, we're going to go far beyond what the mainstream media is telling you about this story. But first, I want to remind everybody that we are solely sponsored by you guys. Without you guys, wearechange.org is not possible. So if you like reports like this one, please consider going to wearechange.org/donate and making that small donation. It's what keeps us around, guys. So thank you so much for your support. Without you, it's just not possible. So how did this all begin? Well, journalist Mike Cernovich, who has a rather large following on Twitter, took to that platform live yesterday and started showing some of Gunn's tweets from the past decade or so.
So let's just go ahead and look at what James Gunn is saying. James Gunn is talking openly about, well, I mean, you can read these for yourself. James Gunn retweets Peter Alton. I like it when blank. Then he talks about being touched. Sick stuff.
And many of these are so disturbing that we will not read them here.
In another tweet, he says he should have invited you into his movie, and he talks about castrating a little boy. These tweets are all real, by the way.
We should take them into context, and I am not by any means defending the content of these tweets, as I don't think it's funny to joke about things like NAMBLA and child rape. However, we have to understand that James Gunn comes from a film culture of trauma. And if you're not familiar with trauma, it's about as anti-establishment, anti-Hollywood as it gets, and has a very, very, very odd sense of humor. The schlock/shock value of these films is undeniable. Now, Gunn actually got his start doing a film called Romeo and Juliet, produced by Lloyd Kaufman. Now, Kaufman was so influential in his career that he actually gets a cameo in the film Guardians of the Galaxy in the prison scene.
Now, you're the latest member of the Trauma family. What is it that drew you to the work that Lloyd and the group at Trauma have been doing?
I have been, Lloyd was my hero, you know, and I had been a fan of Trauma films for many, many years.
Now, somebody pointed me to this tweet between him and Kaufman where they're joking about NAMBLA.
A much more mild one read, for example, I remember my first North American Man-Boy Love Association meeting. It was the first time I felt okay being who I am. Some of those guys are still my BFFs.
And again, I want to point out that I do not think that there is anything funny about these jokes. Now below that, you'll see a picture of Lloyd Kaufman with the infamous Tony Podesta. Now, there are plenty of allegations about Tony Podesta ever since the Hillary Clinton emails leaked, and he was part of the spirit cooking email with Marina Abramovich. But let's not forget, he was never charged with anything in those emails. And to this day, he still has not been indicted in this new Mueller probe. However, he does seem to have shady dealings with the Ukraine through the Podesta Group, which he is, of course, a founder. Now, it just came to light this week that he has been offered immunity, even though he still hasn't been indicted for anything.
The Podesta Group, we reported, worked with Paul Manafort to lobby on behalf of Ukrainian interests in the United States without properly registering at the time under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, which is called FARA. Manafort got in big trouble for that. He's now being held in solitary confinement. He's looking at a life sentence behind bars. And Tony Podesta? Whatever happened to him? Well, tonight we can report exclusively, based on two separate sources we spoke to today, that Tony Podesta has been offered immunity by Robert Mueller to testify against Paul Manafort. In other words, for a near identical crime, Bill and Hillary's friend could skate and emerge completely unscathed, while Paul Manafort may rot in jail.
So this is extremely troubling. However, I actually do have some connections in the film industry, and especially in the trauma world. So, after seeing this story and after seeing this post, I contacted my source and I asked them if there was any chance that Lloyd Kaufman could be involved in something that he shouldn't. Now, this person assured me 100% that Lloyd Kaufman is not a pedophile, does not endorse pedophilia, and the reason that he was sitting with Tony Podesta was through his connections to the art world, of which Lloyd Kaufman and his wife are heavily involved. And if you know anything about Tony Podesta and his wife, they are also heavily involved in the art world. Now, many people are pointing out that this mob justice came from the right wing, citing Mike Cernovich and Jack Posobiec, and some on the left have even called them white supremacists. But what they're leaving out is that the Twitter account of a film I highly respect called An Open Secret, which outs Hollywood pedophiles, was instrumental in helping take down Gunn as well. However, this does not fit their narrative, and they can't call an open secret white supremacists like they have Cernovich and Posbiak. And I'd also like to point out the hypocrisy of the left-wingers who immediately went after Roseanne Barr, getting her show canceled for what could have been or may have been a racist tweet. Of course, she denies it was racist.
I thought the bitch was white! God damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
Patton Oswalt, another comedian who I highly respect and enjoy, has actually come out with jokes about being a pedophile. And I'd just like to say that this is not the way to handle this, Mr. Oswald, and that you have to understand why people are upset instead of declaring that you are a proud pedo yourself. Now, in closing, I'd like to point out that James Gunn lost his job from tweets of over a decade ago, showing once again that everything you do on the internet is forever. It's archived. It's out there. Someone will find it. There is no erasing your past. But the other thing that is extremely concerning to me is people like Bryan Singer, who are featured in An Open Secret and outed as Hollywood pedophiles, still have their jobs. So on one hand, we're getting people fired for making comments, using words, and displaying disturbing behavior.
Gunn deleted his Twitter account and republished it with a statement that read in part, quote, "For the record, when I made these shocking jokes, I wasn't living them out. I know this is a weird statement to make and seems obvious, but still, here I am, saying it."
Yet, we have not taken action against those who have actually abused children. As always, if you like this video, please hit that like, share,
So
and
there you go.
button.
You know, there's other. I believe I did a follow up to that where I show Gunn in a priest outfit, joking around about breaking in his daughter. It goes beyond Twitter. I want to put that out there. On top of that, I also want to put out there that this is Houston Huddleston. This is his buddy, and he pled guilty to CP possession right there. Obviously, you know, this is one of those threads that they put out. I mean, look, something to look at, because that guy was fired at first, then he's given his job back. Now he's the head of DC's what? Entire division on superheroes. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is about to come out. Yeah, 4.5 years ago. 4.5 years ago. By the way, what'd you guys think in the comments? Do you want more produced content like that? Because something like that will take me like 4 or 5 hours, maybe even a day with research. That's why you don't see that kind of stuff. And honestly, it doesn't, wasn't getting any more views than the type of broadcast we do now. So, something important, something I thought I'd share with everybody. Definitely relevant. Okay, I want to go down the line here, hit some more stories before we get back to Zombie Jay and the gang, good old Joe. But once again, that guy is boosting it up. Yeah, he says one thing about Levi, right? Zachary Levi, that, again, commonplace. Zach Levi, spot on, buddy. Spot on. Hardcore. But then you defend this. This better be the best movie of all time. One of the greatest superhero movies ever made. I've heard that hype before. It's going to take a lot these days because there's so many of them. All right, let's go down the line. Tech giants' bloodbath continues. PayPal is the latest to slash 2,000 jobs, about 7% of its workforce, as Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are among those who laid off thousands. And it's funny. I mean, it's not funny. They're calling this the rich session. And I was going through my Facebook feed, and one of the guys who's a buddy of mine, he was talking about so many people being laid off, like literally thousands of people being laid off in a Zoom call. I mean, think about that for a second. You're being laid off in a Zoom call amongst thousands of other people in what I would assume is Google-based. At least that is what my buddy used to do. And what do I mean Google-based? What did my buddy used to do? They'll do voice recognition software. So the way that they're able to automate when you talk into it and have the Google Assistant and the Siri and all that is they actually have human beings that listen to a variety of people speaking, and then they type that out, right? And then the computer associates an algorithm. Well, the people that were getting fired, it really didn't have anything to do with their performance, okay? Had to do with the fact that minimum wages were going up in 2 of these states, and they were going up to $12 and $13 an hour. So it's time to get rid of those people. I would assume similar things are happening, especially when you cut a lot of the fat via remote work. You saw who does work and who doesn't work. You know, got rid of a lot of that. You're getting ready to automate even more of it. The rich session, as they call it. And I just want to make it clear, like we did the story yesterday, that there are people making 6 figures living paycheck to paycheck. And that's not like hyperbole. Seriously. That's not hyperbole. That's a reality right now because prices on everything are shooting through the roof on purpose because they want you priced out. They want you on the dole. They want you on a system of subservience. The rich session. Get ready for more of it on all of those fronts and even more. Even more. And get ready to hear the propaganda that goes along with it. Propaganda like we heard yesterday via Trudeau and his government talking about, it's unprecedented inflation because of the global pandemic. No, it's because of the reaction to that. Purposeful. Manufactured scarcity. When we talk about supply chain lines, who did that? Who really, really, really did that? Come on. Come on now. Let's get with it. Get with the program. So, this is one that kind of hits home. For those that don't know, yes, I am a beauty school dropout, but I am also a proud SUNY guy. That's the State University of New York college system. Okay? And when I read this, I'm just like, I want to puke in my mouth. I'm sick of all the social engineering. If I'm going to a university, okay, I want to learn a skill. I want to learn the basics in education. And by the way, even 20 plus years ago now, when I was in college, a lot of this was already starting to be antiquated. And what do I mean by that? I mean that the vast majority of people that were going out into the world should have been doing like a 2-year trade school or a 2-year business school. Like everybody wanted to make fun of those like DeVry University and business school. Compared to what you're really doing at college for 4 years and all the fluffer courses, if you will. And I had fun. Listen, there was a religious studies course where I got to go to a Catskill Buddhist temple over the summer. Really, really neat teacher, somewhat, interesting. But I don't know if it was groundbreaking or I needed to learn it. In fact, when I think of diversity in a real sense, not this, again, social engineering, brainwashing, diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice clause. What? Oh my God, I want to puke. I think all the way back to when I was in 9th grade, a little skipper, little guy, just starting to sow those teenage, the teenage angst is coming. I'm growing up, right? And I'm seeing the world as a bigger place than just what's around me, than just New York State or upstate New York, which were very, very different. Growing up much closer to the city and going to New York City, that's kind of a unique experience in general as you grow up and you go other places and even to other cities because there's just nothing like New York. That's one thing. right? But the big diversity chain, it's not even that, because when you go there, really there's just so much chaos and madness that it's not like when you had global studies. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing all these different cultures and languages and religions. I'm seeing real diversity. And that expanded my mind. And to me, I think that is a positive thing, because that also builds empathy and understanding among other human beings. And you're like, wow, that's the type of diversity that I'm for. Like culturally studying history and different geographic locations. But when we're talking about this, straight brainwashing. I mean, guys, I still, enjoy going back on alumni weekend and seeing members of my fraternity that maybe I see once a year, once every couple of years, talk to, people that I love, that I consider family. And, it's a generational thing. And now the kids that are going to be joining this will be forced into what? SUNY will require all new students to take diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice courses to graduated starting in the fall of 2023. I mean, what is going on here? That's brainwashing. Social justice. Ooh. We're breaking down barriers. We're breaking down norms. And SUNY, it's not just like the college I went to. It's a slew of universities, right? State University of New York of Buffalo, Oneonta, Oswego, Brockport. I mean, there's a lot of these people. And I feel like the way they get away with it, and this is why New York State to me has just become poison, okay, is that you're in a state that you have taken charge of politically, you have under control. When I say you, I'm talking about the collectivist, globalist ideal set. I think goes well beyond democratic, just Democrat stuff, right? Way, 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 way beyond that. Yeah, the Democrats are corrupt, but that's not really what we're talking about. We are talking about Chucky Schumer and Amtrak Joe. And again, that watch along is coming. Get ready for the pain. Get ready for the pain. Joe doesn't know. And again, they're telling you, they don't want you to drive cars. We got to get you out of the car and into the train. Out of the car and into the train. Into the slave. So you've taken a hold of that area in large part. That's a big thing. So the vast majority of kids that go to SUNY schools are New York State because they're getting a discount. That's why they exist. So you almost have an extension of high school. So many of these people have really no desire to move on from the area. Don't get me wrong. I know plenty of SUNY guys that ended up jumping state, some going across the country, working other places. But the vast majority of the people that I know that came from Long Island went back to Long Island. That came from Queens went back to Queens, etc. So you have this kind of circular system where that's just the culture. That's just the culture. And it is nuts. Because that's not what, my stepfather used to say things like, they don't teach science any different at Harvard than they do at SUNY Oneonta, Jason. Now, number one, I'd argue they do. But number two, I would also say that when you go to an Ivy League school, it's all about the connections, right? And I think that's also the importance of me being in said fraternity, is that you do make connections that end up possibly being lifelong. And those connections do matter. Okay? The saying, it's not what you know, but who you know. I'd say, yeah, it might be a little bit of what you know, but who you know is going to help you get so much farther. Building bridges rather than burning them is the way to go. So DeSantis, on the other side, says he will defund diversity and inclusion efforts at colleges across the state because they are a drain on resources and hostile to academic freedom. Correct. And I'm not trying to be, go Ronnie, go. I'm not a DeSantis pusher. But again, when somebody does something that is correct and that we need to acknowledge, I'm going to acknowledge it. I mean, right here. He's right. And it's tough for me, man, because, listen, I'm going to say some controversial things here. And maybe people are going to like it. Maybe people aren't. I feel like overall, at least in my generation, the education system in New York, for the most part, was vastly superior to what kids were getting in Florida. When kids would move up from Florida in particular, I would find that they were extremely behind. All right. And it was just like kind of this culture of coasting. Now, I don't know if that's the case anymore. But now I feel like we're in an inverted reality that when you're starting to get to the higher levels of academia, you'd rather be at Florida State University than anywhere in New York and their state university system. It seems that way. It seems that way. He should push for a ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, because all of it is really about what? Sustainability. And when it's about sustainability, it's about your standard of living plummeting. That's what all of this is. It's like, let's create wedges, let's create tension, let's create conflict, let's have a bunch of people fighting amongst themselves over nothing. Over the color of their skin. Ridiculous. I mean, I can't. It boggles my mind in 2023 how that could even be a thing. How it could even be a thing. But then I see, weasels, literal gangsters, by the way, like Al Sharpton, getting this kind of press. Al Sharpton channels Martin Luther King's mountaintop speech as he stands with Nichols' parents at vigil before a funeral where thousands are due, including Vice President Kamala Harris. And I can't play this stuff. And I'll say it again. What happened to that dude is gross. It's awful. But was it racist? Nope. You give people power, all right, especially without accountability and without the proper training, sometimes even with the proper training, and you're going to get results like that. Nothing to do with race. Everything to do with the situation those people were put in. And from what I understand, 2 of those 4 officers were in a fast track program. All right, where they didn't have to meet certain requirements before they became those type of officers. Again, The Shield. Go watch The Shield. By the way, The Shield, those guys are white. Just want to say that. In this case, that's fictional. In this case, reality, we have to face it, these guys were black. But Al Sharpton can't wait to jump on these situations. The media is now just doubled, tripled down that this is systemic racism that happened to that guy. Not a police brutality issue, not a training issue, not a defund the police issue. It's again, that Mehdi Hassan guy, after going off on it, said, well, look, they defunded. That unit should have never existed. Plainclothes, unmarked, nearly unaccountable units are rife for corruption. And I'll say it again. The response by the department of charging these guys with the crimes they obviously committed on camera, or, allegedly committed on camera. We haven't gotten convictions yet, but that to me are very obvious, is the right move. The right move. But nope, here he is, cowboy hat, cocaine slinging Al Sharpton. You think I'm kidding. All right. He's jumping in. In fact, we do it live. And that Valuetainment show, it's had that one mafia boss that somehow survived while everybody else was killed. like everybody around them. And he talked about how Sharpton was the bag man. He was like he was literally a mafia guy. All right, and he got caught. Sharpton confronted, I think it's about FBI video. Let's see. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he is an FBI informant, 100%. Okay, being an FBI snitch, and I mean, when you let's see if we can find the outfit. Let's go to images. There it is. There he is, right there. There he is in his little cowboy hat making cocaine deals. That's the guy. There he is. He's the guy who's going to lecture me. Right? I mean, you can't make this shit up. Let's see if we can let's see if this goes to a video. Please do.
The Smoking Gun website is reporting that the Reverend Al Sharpton, a.k.a. President Obama's #1 cheerleader, that he worked as an FBI informant spying on New York mob figures back in the 1980s. Now, the report, which was featured on the cover of today's New York Post, said Sharpton secretly recorded conversations that he had with the mob. Earlier today, he responded to those allegations during a press conference. Take a look.
I was not and am not a rat because I wasn't with the rats. I was never told I was an informant with a number. So in my own mind, I was not an informant.
I was a gangster. Like, I mean, that's the funniest thing. He'll sit up there and act like he didn't work with the FBI when he did work with the FBI because he got caught by the FBI. One Nation Under Blackmail. Phenomenal so far, by the way, guys. I encourage you. I'm doubling down on the Whitney Webb stuff. Every night before I go to bed, I'm at least reading some pages. Awesome book so far. This is how they get you. I mean, think about it. He's up there like basically bragging that he's hanging out with mobsters and criminals and cutting all sorts of illegal deals. And then he's saying, I'm not a rat. I was never with the rats.
I was cooperating with investigations.
Now, tonight, we also have gotten our hands on an HBO Sports video of an undercover FBI agent acting as a drug trafficker negotiating a cocaine deal with none other than Al Sharpton himself. Take a look at this.
I can get a on 99 for about 35,000 a kilo. But I got to get more than one. Right. I mean, if we're going to do this thing, you're talking about some real. 10 kilograms is like it's 350,000. That's a drop in the bucket. We can go bigger. Every kilogram we bring in 3,500 kilos. How's that sound? So if we bring in 10, you make 35,000. But that's a check pocket. He can. What he's going to do, he'll do what much more. He can do it.
Oh, we're going to do more than 350,000. Look at that ridiculous hat. Again, we started the week with Lori Lightfoot dancing around. Yeah. This is why. This is the cartoon villainy we live under. These are the people that get elevated. Think of the scandals we just talked about. Just so people like this could be elevated. My God. That's it. That's enough for my Sharpton. We do it live. So yeah, and HBO Sports, that's the thing. None of that was news. Even when Sean Hannity put that up. And this got to be, God, this looks like, this put up 8 years ago, right? That's from like 20 plus years ago. That came out, I want to say, just like post-Tawana Brawley scandal. That when HBO Sports did that. And they confronted Sharpton with the video. He walked out of the interview. I can explain that. Can you? It comes up every once in a while. I've never forgotten it. Look at that outfit. Look at that outfit. All right, I'm going to stop. So, story I want to hit before we go full Zombie J and we do the watch along, Amtrak Joe, is this ended up in my feed, and I didn't know anything about it. You notice I have this highlighted done for me. I want to see if this was real, and it is real. So I have a video of this cafe that we're going to look at. That basically you have these quadriplegic people controlling avatar robots in a coffee house, interacting with customers. And I'm kind of torn here because, look, I can't imagine being in the situation where I can't move. And the human interaction is just so important no matter what. And I feel like this is kind of technology that in many ways could empower that person. But then I think of the other ideals that it's getting ready to push upon other people, and this idea to get out of your own body and control an avatar, basically being the wolf in sheep's clothing. But without further ado, there's some creepy music that goes along with it. There usually is with these things. Let's go to the Avatar Robot Cafe.
迷惑ばっかりかけて人のために何もできていないなっていう気持ちがすごく強い。
Here's the thing, like you notice that they slip this in too. It's like, yeah, you've got the quadriplegics, but then you've got the mentally disabled. And encouraging them to use avatars is, again, that slippery slope where they're getting you to disengage from your humanity.
かったです。
自分の体を自由に動かすことができない方々はかなり大勢いるし、我々とてね、高齢になってくれば立つことも難しくなるかもしれないし、歩くこともできなくなるかもしれない。社会の
So you notice if you're reading this, and yeah, this is kind of video bound for those just listening. And remember, you can listen to the entire second hour free over at podbean.com. Just look for the Info Warrior. We stream it every day. We will be releasing yet another free hour, just like we do every day, over at redvoicemedia.com/Jason. You just keep scrolling down. But again, for $10 a month, you can do it live with us. So they're also talking about not only these physical injuries, but as you age as well. So now mental illness, aging, these type of things are, avenues to get you to disengage from human beings and, basically use these robot avatars. All right, let's continue.
あるいはもう家族とかが自分の介護とかで苦しんでしまうかもしれないというふうに思うと本当に辛くなってしまう。
See, and now, they're talking about basically utilizing these robots as nursing home robots where they can engage each other.
それをどうやったら解消できるかってことに我々はね、人生を使いたいと思っているし、それが我々の役目であると。
So Ori Lab opened up the Work Remotely Cafe as a social experiment in order to create an environment where even bedridden people can interact and engage in meaningful roles with others. So again, the avatars. Avatar Robot Cafe, Dawn.
こっち側から剥がしてるときはあんまり
This guy's got muscular dystrophy.
違いというか
And he's operating it
普
from
通にそ
home.
の場に見えるっていうかいるように感じられますね。
Says he feels like he's there. People who are housebound can operate the Ori home remotely through the Ori home though the Ori home is piloted via the remote. So again, you've got this poor soul using the robot and talking to individuals. So again, the mentally ill person, people are telling her she's gotten a lot better since she's been interacting as an avatar robot. Again, this isn't the person with muscular dystrophy. This isn't the person who's a quadriplegic. And that's really the slippery slope of why we're playing this video here.
辛いこともあるけど、そうやって生きてきたことが無駄にならないっていう感じる瞬間っていっぱいあると思う。
And they really play on the heartstrings. I want this guy to have a purpose.
誰かの役に立ったり、必要にされたり、すごく楽しいですね。
寝たきりの先はあると思ってます。ね、諦めてしまうとね、本当に何もできなくなってしまうかもしれないけれども。
So that's the bright future for a bedridden people. Let's not cure them. Let's not get them out of bed. Let's have them control an avatar robot at a coffee shop. And then, you know, we keep saying bedridden, but we also have, again, people that seem to just have mental problems that we also want to work with avatar robots. Okay, sure. Why not? Why not? All right. By the way, 134 thumbs. Can we get 200 over there, YouTube? And remember, make some comments that are not just in the live stream. Share the links. We're doing it live at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Monday through Thursday, guys. That's what we're doing. So, again, we started the show with Zombie J. And now let's get to Amtrak Joe. Visits New York to push $292 million grant to build a train tunnel under the Hudson River, but ignores the migrants' hotel standoff and surging crime. Yeah, just so everybody knows, this is what I'm paying $2,000 a month for. Right here. We're not leaving. We're setting up shop right here in New York City. You know, even Eric Adams is like, oh my God, this is over the top. I didn't really, you know, they threw Adams this mess. Yeah, just, it's unreal. This is really, you know, I don't talk about the border because I get it. I get why you might want to leave another country and give it a go here, especially if you've bought into infotainment, Hollywood culture, you watch Bruce Willis movies, etc., etc. I'm not joking. Like, if you've been immersed in our entertainment system, you think it's just the best thing since breakfast, right? You have no idea. And in a lot of cases, it is going to be better than other countries. There are going to be more opportunities here. Maybe more freedom because you have more outwardly oppressive governments. Unfortunately, right now, you know, people used to ask me, pre-COVID 1984 nightmare, when I would talk about a lot of this stuff. And, well, where do you go, Jason? Where do you go? And I used to go, this is global. There's nowhere to run. And I don't think anything illustrated that more than COVID 1984. U.S., Europe, South America. Who escaped? Who escaped? And on some level, globalism took hold. Period. There was no escape. So, we got some Zombie J for you. We're gonna do it, but you might on the free side, you guys might only get Chucky Schumer. Okay, I mean when I see him go Joe Biden, I can't help but play him too. So, you know, here's the big staged event, and you know we're gonna build the train under the Hudson. Yeah, over $250 million project. I got to tell you, folks, I'm going to imagine it's going to be well over $1 billion before it's done. Okay. And there's Cory Booker. I mean, one of the most disingenuous, nightmarish politicians out there. I was actually surprised they didn't elevate him more within this administration. Oh, it's Chuck. Chucky. There's some establishment trash, huh? There he is. There's a guy that wants to oppress you.
Hello, everybody. What a great day. What a great afternoon. And it is so great to be here to celebrate a major milestone in the most consequential infrastructure project in all of America, Gateway.
I mean... You know, I talk about the cartoon level of Lori Lightfoot, of Joe Biden, but here's a guy that's still got it together, right? Chuck Schumer, to me, not showing any signs of dementia. Same cutthroat, establishment, mouthpiece, for the agenda that's been there for many a year, period. you look at this, and it's how disingenuous can you be? Here you go, you got the setup, you got a bunch of transit workers in the back. I mean, look at the guy behind my head, the guy with his hands like right here. He's like, well, I guess it's better than work. And then the other guy over to Chuck Schumer with his hands on his hips, like, yeah, well, I guess it's better than showing up to work. Come on, give me a break. All right, back to Chucky Schumer.
Now, as many of you know, for a long time now, this project has been my passion.
Oh, yeah.
It's a labor of love. And after many false starts and obstacles placed in our way, Gateway is full speed ahead.
He can shake that fist, can't he, old Chucky?
With today's new dollars, Gateway's future is assured. Finally, we can say Gateway will be built. So, hooray, hooray, hooray. Here comes Gateway. I want to thank.
I mean, again, New York City, in my lifetime, like I'll never forget. You know, my brother's in the chat. He probably still remembers this. One of my first memories of New York City was going to the Statue of Liberty with my dad. And I remember being on the pier beforehand, and this is back in the day with every, vendor out there selling bootleg T-shirts and bootleg everything. And there were really guys that had jackets with fake watches all in them to sell. Okay? And I remember this crazy guy just came up and just started talking to my dad. And, my dad was just kind of trying to ignore him. You as a kid, you get that bad vibe. And he's talking about these vendors. And somehow, even though this vendor realizes this guy is crazy, hands him one of the watches. Because he insists he wants to see the watch and blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, dude takes the watch, slams it on the ground, and gets into karate stance. Come on, mother! And I'm like, whoa! Crazy town. Crazy town. Always an element of crazy in New York. No doubt about it. Last time I was with my brother in New York City. Yep. I mean, we're walking probably with a couple hundred people. Right around Madison Square Garden, heart of Manhattan, legal walkway. Dude walks up to us with half of his fronts gone. Starts talking to my brother like he knew him and like he was part of the fire department. Always going to be an element of crazy in New York City. Right now, post-COVID 1984, from what I am not only seeing in the media, but hearing from my friends that I keep in touch with, that live in Long Island, that work in the city, off the chain, over the top. Probably makes the 80s that I just talked about just not even in comparison. And you got Chucky Schumer. We did it! Gateway! Yay! Just, wow. All right. I'm going to bring people over to the final hour. I'm going to cue it over to the producers to start making that transition. I want to thank everybody who is supporting me, who comes over and does the redvoicemedia.com, redvoicemedia.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. You get the first week for $1. Otherwise, it's $10 a month or $100 for the year. Lock it in. The other links down below are great ways to support me, but Red Voice is the future. We're doing it 8 a.m. Monday through Thursday, kicking it out with big interviews. I thought Jeremy McKenzie was really fun yesterday. I want to do more of those interviews, and I want you guys to come along as well. So let's one by one leave this, and then we're going to go. You didn't even get to see Zombie J, right? You didn't even get to see Zombie J. You will on the other side. Don't worry. He comes running out after Chuck Schumer introduced Joe Biden. So Rockfin, I'll rock it out with you later on Rockfin. By Twitter, Rumble, we'll see ya. And YouTube, arrivederci. Remember, thumbs it up, subscribe, and share, and make a comment outside of the live chat. It helps the algorithm tell people about the show. And again, thank you guys for riding it out in a platform that, heavily